Can you see what I did?
Well, I kind of feel like this awakening has always been going on.
Yeah.
But my life before that certainly wasn't with all the trauma that's been, dredged up. Um, I have, I have 8 children. So my life from the time I was 25 was bearing children and homeschooling children and running a well-ordered home and, being super domestic, which I love. Like I'm really good at that. And I love it, have that kind of natural, like nurturing motherly heart. And now that my nest is kind of, pretty much emptied, it's not that I still have the nest, and it's just that different people are filling it, so that kind of energy is like more cosmic than just focused like on my children, which are still a huge part of my life. I've had an incredible longing for, and what the longing was always about was I had these encounters with Jesus when I was 19 and 20, dreams, where this dark, handsome Middle Eastern man would show up in my dreams, and we would walk through meadows, and he would talk to me about things, and I would just be spellbound. And I would wake up multiple times in the middle of the night. My heart would just be burning inside of me. And I realized at that time it was the first time I'd ever experienced what I would call love. So I was just madly in love with Jesus, and I joined a church, and my heart was just like blown wide open. And all I ever wanted to know from that point on was, by what source, what power does this man speak? Because I recognized he was so different than me, and yet he's a human being. So I'm like, there has to be something there. And if he's a human being and he has access to this, then maybe I do too. So that kind of love initiation in my dreams, like really opened my heart and created a longing to want to know by what source, what power did this man say what he said. It caused this feeling in my body. And so I've been a devotee of Jesus ever since then. The years go on, and I got kind of a little immersed in the kind of the dogma of Christianity, and that just really chokes out the love. The heart shuts down, it becomes conceptual, it becomes rigid, the life, it all just, the love kind of didn't totally dry up, but I didn't feel it like I did in the beginning. And then some years later, against my own will, the foundation, the structure that my mind had built from studying, kind of the logos, the written word, started to shift. And so I might be standing and cooking something for the children, and some Bible verse would come up that, was like something solid and stable. And I could feel it literally dissolve. And it would dissolve, and this panic and terror would grip my body. And I'm like, what is going on here? And I remember crying out to God, and I literally said, do you know how long it took me to learn all of this shit? I literally did. And I'm like, I could switch to something else, but I don't have enough years left to create another foundation this solid. I don't even have the energy for it. And little did I know that that's not what any of this was about. So the more that structure, that conceptual structure and conditioning dissolved, the more my heart started to open again. And the whole idea of a punishing and a rewarding God just got wiped out of my system. And the church that was meeting in our home at the time, they all became threatened by that, because all of a sudden I'm understanding these verses in the Bible way different than I ever had. And I can't help but share it, and nobody's comfortable. So that dissolved. And that was the end of, church in that regard. And I just began to read poetry, Rumi and Hafiz, and have all night prayer longing vigils. And it just was excruciating, the depth of longing. And I spent like 2 years like lying on my back listening to chants and listening to talks. And one morning I woke up, and this just current, just like, at the time it didn't like shoot through the top of my head, but it filled my spine and like jerked my body off the bed. I would say first and foremost, the vibration, the heat, the raw current, um, and the fear that comes with, my brain boiling, like just literally boiling, just waking up, like even this morning and throughout the night, to just a boiling brain and a searing fire in my heart. And I can tell they're like trying to dance with each other. Walking around with frozen vegetables on my head, and my feet in pans of ice water. And I'd never heard the word Kundalini. I didn't know what was going on. I thought something was physically wrong with me. And I was with a teacher at the time who also didn't know what to do with me, so had me working with some people to try to get this to go away. So that's the only thing we knew, is like, we got to stop this, we got to get this to go away. And of course, the more we tried to get it to go away, the more it would heat up and burn. And that has been pretty much the last 9 years of my life, is learning to dance with this force and survive. And I don't want anybody to think, because I appear to be okay now, that I'm like this all the time, because I'm not. Like, I just, want everybody to know that right now I'm feeling like, pretty good. But I just came out of 5 days of being immersed in what just felt like a psychotic hell, where all the like inmates in the asylum all busted out the doors at one time, and they're just like screaming. And I almost lost my mind, really. It was really dark and crazy, and there was a lot of energy, a lot of pain. But I can tell something shifted. So who knows what an hour from now will be like. I just know I feel more, I guess I feel more prepared and capable of handling what arises. Though sometimes I still get overshadowed and overwhelmed. It's just the process. And then in the last 6-8 months, a lot of deep trauma has come up. And some of it just really terrifies me. My greatest fear is being left alone, being abandoned. So when that abandonment issue comes up, it's still terrifying. I'm able to be with it more. But learning what's mine, and understanding now how all of this unconscious material has been projected onto the screen of my life. And when you start to like recognize that, you're like, man, what was that? What is that? What have I been doing my whole life? So I'm starting to have those, real break opens and seeing that. And when that happens, I'm realizing, oh, even the people in my life aren't what I thought they were. Without my projections, they're totally different people. And I'm actually able to accept or love or appreciate not maybe all of them, but parts and aspects of them that I couldn't when they were carrying my stuff, and colored with all my unconscious material. And boy, it's work, 24/7 work. So sleep's good. Just let me sleep. Seeing through this illusion that I had, just like this veil that had just like draped over my entire world. And waking up from that, having those splits, and the places where the light, Rumi says places where the light gets in, I say it's places where the light gets out. Because I'm seeing and perceiving differently, and just the incredible love when I feel that, like sitting here with you right now, like there's so much pressure in my heart, like I can hardly breathe. And typically the cells that are kind of vibrating with fire feel like laden with thick heavy honey. So it's a nice reward from a descent into hell. And lately feeling that masculine energy, which I have had none of, come online. So I'm able to set boundaries for myself where I wasn't able to do that before. And not that it doesn't make me afraid, but I can be with the consequences of, setting a boundary, saying, this is what I need, this is what I want. No, I'm not going to do this. Yes, it's still hard. And I'm still growing up a lot that way. Maybe one day it won't be so hard. And I know I have, what, I feel like I just stepped up to the plate. I have the bat in my hand, and the ball's being pitched, and I'm making contact, but at least 3 times a week, I feel like I haven't even made it to first base. I don't really know. I feel like a beginner all the time. Just being accepted just like I am, seen just like I am. I'm learning not to judge me. I'm learning not to shame me. I'm, so much more compassionate with myself, and to have people in my life that can show up for me, at, at least to some degree, the way I show up for me. And I know I can't ever expect that totally from someone else, because everybody else has their own stuff. But I need a lot of gentleness. I need a lot of tenderness. I wound easily. I feel like the most delicate flower petal in the world, and everything affects me, and everything touches me. And it might sound silly, and I'm not even embarrassed to say it, but it could be something as simple as somebody sends me a text and it's not quite okay. And if you'd put a heart on it, I go through emoji rejection. I'm like, it's okay. I'm okay. And I'm okay telling it. Like, I'm like, guys, look, this is me. This is me. So if we're going to have dialogue, just know I'm, highly sensitive times 10. And will I always be this way? I don't know. I don't care. I'm this way now, and that's what matters. So I try to, I think I wrote something about that on the forum. So I just imagine that everyone else is sensitive too. And I treat them the way that I want to be treated. So I'm using it as a practice. There are more days now where at least I feel, this like, courage and creativity, and more of a sense of like hope for my future. And to me, that's almost like good enough. because like I haven't even been able to access any of that. It's just like, you know what, I'm just going to be this piece of wood, and I'm just going to be like burning for fucking ever my whole life, and I'm not going to do anything that really matters. Not like I've raised 8 amazing children, so I don't want to discount that. My heart's desire is to just be open to this like midwifery kind of energy that is like really coming online, and to be able to support, I mean, not necessarily just people going through Kundalini, but people just going through a spiritual process in general, because I have this incredible ability to uplift and encourage. And I have a really heart connection with that motherly energy. And so it's like really easy for me to, and somebody, could come to me in a really difficult place. I can also be in a difficult place at the same time. But the minute they speak their need, something else comes and takes over. So that's what I love doing. And to hear someone say, oh my gosh, thank you, I feel so much better. I couldn't ask for anything in the world more than that. Yes, that, as well as I don't want anyone to underestimate the power of prayer. To really be able to just sit and whatever your image of the other is, whether it's an internal other or an external other, and to be able to be so raw and honest, because there's this verse in the Bible that says God loves those who are of a broken and contrite spirit. And the more broken I am, the more honest I am with my brokenness and my frailty and my weakness and my inability to even know what I'm doing, to just show up and say, Mama, I don't know what I'm doing. I am so lost. I am so confused. And I can't seem to find my way to you, but I know you always know where I am. So can you find your way to me? Prayer, that honest, just vulnerable, raw, naked prayer. I think God just puts on his Nikes and just runs at us so fast when we're that raw and honest. If you don't need help, you don't get it. But when you need it and you're honest about it, it will come. I was nervous, but I really loved sharing all of that. It's my truth, and I used to be like just like so afraid of like what do I have to offer? And then I realized that the most beautiful thing I had to offer is my vulnerability, is my humanity, is my honesty, is my failures and my shortcomings. And I don't have to pretend that I know anything that I don't. And if someone asks me something I don't have knowledge of, I'm like, I'm so sorry, I can't help you there. I can point you to somebody that I know knows, but I can't help you there. And I used to feel like I had to have answers for everybody if I was going to do any of this kind of work. Nah.
Yeah, you just need to be you. You just need to show up as you.
And I find that, people are like, whoa, because what that does is it gives everyone else permission to be themselves. And that's what we're all looking for, aren't we? We really are looking for permission to just be ourselves.
That's it. That's all we've ever been looking for.
That's all we've ever been looking for. Oh my God.
It's so simple. How could it have turned into such a clusterfuck?
You're right, Kate. I was thinking about that this morning. I'm like, how could just one simple desire to just be myself and love myself as I am be like fucking boot camp?
I know. I remember in the beginning, I was like, Lila, am I gonna be okay? Like, I remember I was in California, I was like texting you every like 4 minutes for reassurance, not realizing that like you were still going through it.
Yeah. Because when you're overweight and weighted down with all that, cultural conditioning and trauma and stuff, if you have a really fat ego, you're gonna have a really hard time making it through boot camp.
Yeah,
And this
true.
is in boot camp, just dropping all this excess weight so we can feel that core of
Oh,
ourselves. And that core loves, William Blake said, eternity is in love with the productions of time. I am a production of time.
besides, of course, meeting me.
Of course, that is like we didn't even talk about that. I mean, it's just incredible, like how how we met was incredible. You remember that. Kate's like, oh my God, it's somebody else with the burning brain. I'm gonna reach out to her. And then we've been twinsies since then. It's so cute. And I feel my own divinity in love with my own humanity so much more, just to the extent that you can just come right out and say, hey guys, be really gentle with me. Because it's true. I need that gentleness. And where would shame be, except that we've been conditioned to be ashamed for being needy or even saying something like that.
Exactly.